it is Ivy and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, my name is Ivy, also known as Intuitive Ivy. I'm here on this channel and on etsy.com/shop/intuitivivym, where I do tarot and oracle card readings. So today I have a reading wrap up for you guys. You guys know back in the beginning of the year, I did what I'm going to be reading for January, February, March. So this is my wrap up, everything that I read in the past 3 months. I read a total of 7 books. So I think my goal was 9, but I read 7. So it wasn't that bad, okay? So this is everything that I read during the winter. And if you guys want to see what I'm going to read for spring, I will post a video down below. It's going to be up on my second channel. Just because while these books are more like spiritual, well, most of them are more like spiritual and like magical based, the next set of books that I'm reading are more like businessy type stuff. So I didn't feel like it would go too well with this channel, so that's why I'm gonna put it on my second channel, which is my lifestyle channel. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first book that I read, that I finished in 2021 is Spirit Guides. It's Spirit Guides for Beginners, the complete guide to contacting your spirit guide and communicating with the spirit world by Mia Rose. This is a really quick read. I thought it was going to be a thicker book, but it's only like 50 something pages. It's basically like a guide, a how-to, very short and simple and sweet. It doesn't like over explain things, and it doesn't like talk about all kinds of random nonsense. It gets straight to the point, how to contact your spirit guides. Very short and simple, so I enjoyed it. I highlighted a lot of stuff here. Honestly, I can't remember too much about it. Nothing really stood out to me, so there's that. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. Very short and simple, but not something that I would say is memorable. So there's that book, Spirit Guides by Mia Rose. The next book that I read is, I have 2 kids books here, you guys, because I read my kids bedtime stories and we happened to finish 2 books within the 3 months. So the first book that we finished together was I'm Just No Good at Rhyming by Chris Harris and Lane Smith. This book is so good. So it has like a whole bunch of poems. And some poems are, I mean, some poems can be really long and take up like multiple pages, but it's so cool. Like these poems, some of them can be like really dumb, but some of them can be really cute and like really interesting and just really nice to say. Like it's something that like I feel like as a family you guys would enjoy. I really liked this book. I loved the illustrations in it. I loved the poems. I loved how different it was from any other like poem book. So this book is one that I highly recommend to families. This was a really good book to read. The next book that I read, again, bedtime stories, was Kingdom Keepers, Disney After Dark, and this is by Ridley Pearson. This is another book that like, I feel like if you're a fan of like the Percy Jackson series, I feel like this would be like a book that you guys would like. This book is so awesome because it is filtered around these kids who turn into, they're holograms, right? They're like holographic guides to Disney World, and they show you around the park. But they find that at nighttime, one night, they wake up and they're in the park and they're like, this can't be real, we're dreaming. But then one of them ends up getting like hit by like a pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean. They wake up and they realize that they still have like those same scars and everything from when they were here. So they're like, okay, this is not a dream. And then they find out that all these animatronics and these cartoon characters like Winnie the Pooh and all those, they're all roaming Disney World, and they are all under the control of Maleficent. And she's like out to get everybody in Walt Disney World, and she wants to like take over the world. It's so good. Like this book was one that I had so much fun reading, and I would play like, depending on what ride they went on, so if they went on like It's a Small World, I would play like the Small World theme song in the background as I'm reading the book. And it's just something that, again, like as a family would be really enjoyable. Even just as an adult, I feel feel like this is, if you like Disney, which come on, who doesn't like Disney? This is a really awesome book. I really liked it. So that's this one. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. It was really cool. The next book that I read was How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. So this is a book that I had since 2020? I think since I don't remember if it was 2019 or 2020, but this is a book that I've had for a long time, and it's a really thick book. And this is a book that I got from a blind date with a book, and this is a book that, this is a compilation of short stories, so that's why I was hesitant, because I love sci-fi and I love fantasy, but short stories kind of like, I feel like they are often unfinished, and then I get annoyed because I'm like, what happens next? Hello? But this book, while it did do that quite often, there was a lot of fascinating stories in here, all very like sci-fi based, very science fiction-y, very good. Can't really get into detail about all the stories because there's just so many of them, but it was a really, honestly, it was a really good book, and I was blown away by the author's writing style. She has other like full-length novels that I'm definitely going to be checking out, because now that I know her writing style, and she writes so well, I can't imagine like actually reading a whole story other than just like a whole bunch of short stories. So I'm pretty sure her books are badass. So I'm excited to read a full-length novel from her. Next book that I read is Raymond Buckland's Complete Book of Witchcraft by Raymond Buckland. This is a old, I want to say this is like from the 70s or the 80s. But it was like the original OG like book of witchcraft, and I wanted to check it out because it had like so much stuff about it, and it was always like on everybody's like recommended books for like beginners to witchcraft and all that. So I checked it out, and this is a really good book. Like, this is a really good book, but I feel like it's now that we're in like 2021, I feel like it's very outdated. And not only that, but I feel like it emphasizes so much on covens and like coven-based practices. And this day and age, like, not that many people are in covens. I feel like it's all very solitary and solitary practitioners, not very coven-based at all. So that's why I couldn't get that into it, just because of how outdated it was and how it was just like heavily based on like covens. And while it was nice to know what they do in covens, it's very based on like the Gardnerian witchcraft, but I mean, other than that, it was pretty okay. I really liked the beginning and like the history of religion and all that. That was really interesting, but then it started going off onto all these directions of like covens and stuff, and I'm like, what if I'm just one person? How do I do this? So yes, so that's all I gotta say, but I feel like it's a pretty good book to start off with if you're new to it. Now I know so much about this topic because I read this book, so there's that. And I gave this one, I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars, just because, I mean, I already said why. I read The Green Witch by Erin Murphy Hitchcock, and this book was very based on green witchcraft and green witches, and I really liked this book because it teaches you a lot about herbs. It teaches you a lot of like rituals to do, and it's very based on like, it's very nature based and like very green pathy. And even though I don't identify as a green witch, it's still something that was like really interesting to know, because I'm pretty much like eclectic, so I took a lot of information that I learned from that book and I'm carrying it over into my practice, because this book has just taught me so much of like about nature and about different herbs and what like these different crystals do, because you guys know that I'm a newbie to crystal. It goes into crystals as well as types of trees, types of flowers, their benefits, what you can use them for. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and also like what they believe in, and it was a really awesome book. And the recipes in there, it teaches you how to make spell bags and how to like take care of your garden, and it's what made me want to buy more plants, and now I have more plants, so there's that. So that was a really good book. I voted that one 5 out of 5 stars. That was a book that I read with my book club, and because of that book, two of my book club members now identify as green witches. So there's that. So upset at myself because I literally forgot one of the book that I literally just finished. And it's this book right here. It's called Signs: The Secret Language of the Universe by Laura Lynn Jackson. And this is a book that was really awesome. It's written by a psychic medium, and she constantly is in constant contact with the other side. And this whole book is different stories of people that have lost loved ones and how they are still able to communicate with them on the other side, and it teaches you how to ask for signs. So if you've lost somebody that you're really close to, or if you want to contact your spirit guide or your guardian angel, there's a really easy way to do it. And again, this is another book that I read with my book club. I will put the description down below in case you guys want to join our book club. It's something that my friends and I have done. We've tried so many of these like different ways of contacting them, and we've all experienced so many amazing things doing these practices. And these stories are so touching. Like these stories are so touching, and every single one of the girls in my book club cried. And there is like, I have one friend that she's like, I had to stop reading it because I'm crying after every chapter, just because it's so moving and beautiful. You guys, if you guys were to just read one book from here, definitely check out this one. It was amazing, and it really makes you think of the other side and the spirit and like, you know, what happens in the afterlife in a completely different way, in a more beautiful way. And then you'll find that like you're not going to be afraid of like ghosts and spirits and things like that anymore. You may not even be afraid of death after reading this book. And I know that's like a bold statement to say, but like I'm just speaking from like personally, I'm not afraid anymore because this book just opened my eyes to how beautiful the other side is. And there's this quote in the book towards the end where like when Thomas Edison was passing away, one of his last words were, "It's so beautiful over there. It's so beautiful on the other side." And the last words of Steve Jobs were, "Oh wow." Like he looked up, he was with his family, and he looked over, he was like, "Oh wow, oh wow." Those were his last words. And things like that make you not really fear it. You know, knowing that this is a place of love and not of darkness, and such high vibrations and nothing to fear, it's just super amazing. And so this one, of course, was 5 out of 5 stars. Anyways, you guys, that is it. Those are the 7 books that I read. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to let me know down in the comments down below. And of course, if you guys want to see what I will be reading for April, May, and June, head on over to my second channel. I will put it down in the description below where I'm going to be posting it. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.